Hello everyone, welcome to the episode number 19 of QnA Series with Suresh GP. In the last episode, we talked about horizontal scaling, and this episode, we are going to talk about vertical scaling. Now, what does vertical scaling mean? Vertical scaling or scaling up describes additional resources to a system so that it meets demand. Now, how is it different from horizontal scaling? While horizontal scaling refers to adding additional nodes, vertical scaling describes adding more power to your current machines. For instance, if your server requires more processing power, vertical scaling would mean upgrading the CPUs. You can also vertically scale your memory, storage, or network speed. For further illustration, let's consider a database. If you host your database on a single dedicated server and it goes too large, horizontal scaling means you would add new nodes, partitioning and sharing the data between the old server and new. In vertical scaling, we are focusing on adding additional resources to one server in how we make. So, what are some of those advantages of vertical scaling? Number one is cost effective. Upgrading a pre-existing server costs less than purchasing a new one. Additionally, you are less likely to add new backup and virtualization software when scaling vertically. Less complex process communication. Because when a single node handles all the layers of services, it will not have to synchronize and communicate with other machines to work. This may result in faster responses. Number three, less complicated maintenance. Not only is maintenance cheaper, but it is less complex because of the number of nodes you will need to manage. Number four, less need for software changes. You are less likely to change how the software on a server works or how it is implemented. Now, all these advantages do not mean that there are no disadvantages. Now, what are the disadvantages of vertical scaling? Number one, higher possibility of downtime. Unless you have a backup server that can handle all the operations and requests, you will need some considerable downtime to upgrade your machine. Number two, single point of failure. Having all your operations on a single server increases the risk of losing all your data if your hardware or software failure was to occur. Upgrade limitations. There is a limitation to how much you can upgrade on a machine because every machine has its own threshold for RAM, storage, and processing power. Now, with that, you understand the concept of vertical scaling, the advantages that they have, and also the disadvantages. So, as you start looking at scalability for your systems, you have to understand the better option of going through horizontal scaling or vertical scaling will depend on the case in point. As a site reliability engineering, you have to be well versed on the pros and cons of horizontal scaling and vertical scaling and decide a best approach that suits your environment to ensure reliability across your systems. I hope this episode was useful to understand about vertical scaling, and I look forward to seeing you in our next episode of QnA Series. So please stay tuned and thank you very much for listening.